Hi, I'm Anab Jain. I'm a designer, filmmaker, and co-founder of Superflux.
And I'm Jon Ardern. I'm also co-founder of Superflux.
The Intersection is a film that uh, shows how, through the lens of four protagonists, takes us into a world that moves from a violent present to a cooperative future.
Yeah, we were interested in looking at ambient technology, but also ambient technology as it intersects with many of the themes that we're living through at the moment, such as climate change and kind of war on sense making and fake news and all these things, how these different forces come together and where that might take us, and the potential for kind of a redemptive arc or a way out of that. So the name has multiple meanings in the film. It's the name of this group that comes together, and if you look on the map where it marks the first meeting of this group, it's actually at an intersection. It's a building at an intersection, but more broadly, it was we named it the intersection because it is about the intersection of these different themes within the film and how all these different things play a part. We're used to kind of thinking about, a lot of people might say, well, okay, we're interested in the future of ambient technology, and they would then look at ambient technology as a singular technology and as a singular theme and kind of extrapolate in a very linear sense. Whereas if we look at the world around us, we kind of see that all these things are interconnected and inter-influential. So the name, the intersection, is more of a kind of a nod to that than it is, and then also, yeah, so the secondary meaning of the group within that. That group itself is the intersection of all these forces come together in a way and then kind of working together to create a more positive future. Well, originally it was supposed to be specifically around ambient technology, but then as we started to explore the themes, we saw the Australian wildfires of sort of the end of 2019 and some of the imagery that was coming out of that, and then we saw the start of the pandemic and how that was influencing conspiracy theories and things. So it very much kind of grew out of the themes, and then obviously the Black Lives Matter movement and the murder of George Floyd and all of those. So it was very much influenced by the contemporary events that were taking place around the development of the film.
Yeah, and I would just add to that it is based in the US, and our commissioners are US based, and so they definitely wanted us to surface these tensions that were shaping the political atmosphere in the US. I think there are few influences. So on one hand, it's interesting because we've been thinking about the metaverse in itself for a while. The research that we did, we had interviews with experts who were talking about it. This isn't a new thing; it's been going on, right? So we were very interested in exploring the visual dimension of that phenomenon in a way that was possible and achievable within the time we had, and that kind of duality between the world on fire and then you wear your helmet and believe that you've entered this fantasy world where you are constantly being instantly gratified with points and rewards. And so there was that one idea of showing this very kind of dream world of the metaverse where things are shiny, and then the real world, which is chaotic and messy and on fire, quite literally. So we wanted to use archival footage and found footage to show that world. So those are the kind of two very distinct visual phenomenons. And then there was a little bit of inspiration from Ken Burns, the Dust Bowl series, and so the four protagonists have space and kind of visual space to talk about their stories, which is noise free, so to speak. So there's that layer of distinction between the noise of the film and the space for the characters to talk about their stories. It is fiction, but conceived in a documentary essay style. The interviews, having characters, having the job descriptions, speaking to camera in a way feels very documentary-esque, and yet this is a complete, not complete fiction. We're very inspired by what's happening around us, but and it's mixed with real footage. But as you go in the end, the actual circle of people is in the future, sometime in the future, where they have found the courage, I would say, to come together and have a dialogue, even though they come to this dialogue from such different points of view and positions.
And there was a lot of playing with temporality. Exactly. And kind of playing with where we're at, and also in terms of the extrapolations of the tech. I think some of the tech feels very current and feels very it's literally only taking a couple of things that exist at the moment and saying, okay, we'll bring those together. They're technologies that could be around now, and then obviously the tech that is based in the future kind of almost looks like has a more of a kind of an ancient vibe. So there's kind of we're very much interested in playing with these kind of ideas of time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, at so many points, it was such a complex undertaking because we had such a big body of research, and we had three advocates we were talking to who come from such rich lived experiences, and that they bring that to the table. And then we were filming it during COVID, so we had to work out how can we film these scenes where we want a room full of people but still observe social distancing, and then all the kind of all the safety procedures that come about because of that. I mean, there was a lot to kind of navigate, but at the same time it felt like in order to say what we wanted to say, we kind of had to have that broader scope, otherwise we'd be kind of absolutely.
And I think we could have added more to it. I think maybe it would have become I think already it's kind of at the limit of what a film of that length can
and to be taught, just remembering the backstory. Originally we had proposed 3 films, and there were 3 really strong themes that would hold each of them together, and collectively they would become a body of work around this. And obviously time, budget, all of that did not permit that. But I suppose at the heart of everything we do is the desire to draw seemingly disconnected things together, to start to carve a narrative that puts these things in an interconnected and interdependent relationship. Because so that as long as we are able to suggest that this kind of technologies have a history in extractive capitalism, which in turn actually have history in colonialism, then just slowly starting to surface some of these things are really important to us, because we were tasked with the idea of creating a vision of a hopeful future. And I just don't think we can create hopeful futures without reflecting on our histories. And whatever we are doing in the future will be standing on we're standing on the bones of what has happened before us. So it's really important for us to connect these dots. Yeah, I don't think it's black and white. So I just don't think we are against technology in a way. I think we are perhaps questioning the kind of capture of our attention systematically that is being done by these technologies. And with the metaverse, where every brand is now fighting with who will get the biggest meat space in the metaverse, I think the question is really that through these kind of devices and the kind of nod to solar punk, there's almost a question whether you could have a more cooperative metaverse, whether you could use these very technologies to connect us with each other, to connect us with the environment, to connect us with what really needs our attention. So I think,
I think you're right. It's more of a criticism of the way that business models have influenced our relationship with technology than it is of the technology itself. I mean, not within this film, but we have explored that in the past. I think that the idea of the crafter scene comes from a set of spears that we'd made from old Arduino boards and kind of flint knapped them into kind of primitive spears. So we have played with ideas around that and what it might mean to kind of return to more primitive ways of life. But I think for this film particularly, we wanted to kind of look at the transformation of tech rather than the kind of obliteration of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I think it was a bit of an accidental coinage, the term, but we kind of like it because it is in a way ritualizing the detritus of the Anthropocene into things that we craft and use and care about. So there is an inherent value of care embedded in it, because when you are repurposing, repairing, reconfiguring, reimagining this kind of waste of the Anthropocene, you are showing a care. You're not just like, throw all this in the bin, I'm going to open my new shiny future where everything is white and clean and I just touch things and images will pop up. It's like saying we are going to work and live amongst the damaged ruins of the Anthropocene, but we are going to do that with care and conviviality, as we said, and with we're going to celebrate that frugality in a way. It's basically saying, well, it's really questioning the premise of what we are doing. Really, are we wearing headsets and auctioning 3D printed or 3D colored cats for cryptocurrency on blockchains, or are we in a cooperative manner opening access to this technology to show us the potential of connecting data with nature, with communities? Where are we heading, and what decisions and choices are we making?
Hard to say, really. I guess it'll depend on how we navigate the challenges ahead of us as as humanity, really. I mean, hopefully it just becomes a curious historical artifact and doesn't become kind of some sort of prescient prediction of things to come, but we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, in the ideal world, we hope it can be shared, amongst educators and students, and like in a way, it's a drop in the ocean, really, isn't it? But if many such counter narratives emerge, if other people, even few, are inspired to explore similar themes, then I think we're just hoping that it can lead to sort of wider reflection. And it's a hard one, you know. We are at the mercy of few very, very powerful Silicon Valley companies whose offices are within a mile radius and are really controlling how we use technology and actually how we connect each other. So I think this isn't something that is a problem that can be just solved, but I think what our goal is to spread critical thinking and to spread questioning and to not take things as they are. So anything that can help in that is hopefully useful.